Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us here today. I'm delighted to have a distinguished panel with us here today. I'll start off by briefly introducing my panelists. We've got Mr. Salim Ranja, who's representing Board of Investments. He's the Additional Secretary Executive Director General Board of Investments. We've got Matt Lester. Matt is representing the British High Commission. He's the head of trade in Islamabad, the Deputy Director for Trade and Investments in Pakistan. We've got Madam Anusha Rahman. She doesn't need any introduction, especially to all the youngsters in this room, know her very well due to her involvement as the previous Federal Minister for IT and Telecommunications. We've got Khurram Zafar here. Khurram runs a venture capital in Pakistan with 47 ventures. So what I'll be doing, just to give you a brief format background, I'll be sharing some questions with the panelists, and I'll be asking for their feedback, and then we'll be opening up the floor if we have time for maybe one or two questions, depending on the time. If not, then you can ask any questions towards the end or when you interact with them during tea time. So if I start off with Madam Anusha, how do you see Pakistan's economy, and where are we heading? I mean, we all talk about Pakistan being the next economy of the globe. We all talk about the talent here in Pakistan. We all talk about being the fifth largest producer of rice, the top producer, the fourth largest producer of mangoes, cotton, dates, a country with a population of 200 million plus. How do you see the potential of Pakistan, and how do you see the economy going?
Thank you very much. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. First of all, I would like to congratulate the organizers of Jumpstart for holding such a bright and very useful event here. They have done a lot of hard work, and I think we all recognize their efforts, and I look forward to seeing you holding more conferences here in Islamabad. Regarding your question, I mean, what we did from 2013 to 18 is not a secret for anyone. I think it was a time when PricewaterhouseCoopers was saying that Pakistan would be actually possibly by 2030 in the G20 list. So that's what the traction that Pakistan was gaining in the global community. And I would like to, and I cannot emphasize enough on the young population of the country, which remained the focus of our government in the previous term. So all the work that was done from the Ministry of IT and Telecom platform was keeping in perspective the fourth industrial revolution. The fourth industrial revolution is what the whole globe is focused on. And we, as being part of that fourth industrial revolution, have come a long way in the last 5 years. As you know that when I became the minister, we were still living in a feature phone era. I don't know how many of you are still carrying a feature phone. I think we have just completely transformed in the last 2 to 3 years to smartphones. And this revolution that has come in Pakistan is because the technology that was introduced and was introduced in a very revolutionary manner. And the economy that we talk about, there is nothing without digital transformation that can happen to take the economy to any levels of growth that we wish to see. All the sectors you spoke about, I think one very important sector that I would like to hear from your mouth going forward is the IT sector. The freelancers, the young children who are now being provided opportunity to work from homes. All the programs that we started, for example, Khurram Saab is doing the incubation center program in Lahore, the national incubation centers, the digital skills program, training 1 million freelancers online. Then we started the ICT for Girls program, teaching girls how to code, how to use the computer skills to work from home. At this point in time, 140,000 girls in Islamabad are learning how to code in the schools in Islamabad and in the Baitul Mals. So what technology can do to take the socio-economic development of the country is only possible if we decide to adopt the digital transformation agenda. the digital transformation agenda, if not adopted in time, we will be lagging behind in regardless of any sector, whether it is textiles or agriculture or health, pharmaceutical, you name it. And I would say if we are not going to work and the way we were working, if the momentum is not carried on, Pakistan is going to miss the opportunity that is once again created for us. When I started in 2013, Pakistan software exports were less than $400 million. And we increased this, and that was the reported figures of the State Bank. And the expectation is that for every $1 that is remitted back into the country, $3 is kept outside. So we worked with Board of Investment, State Bank to encourage children to bring back the money into the country. But I have no qualms in saying that at this point in time, if the IT sector is the only sector which is not only the largest export remitting sector of the country, but if we continue the momentum that we started by giving the digital Pakistan policy earlier in 2018, continue to focus on freelancers, continue to focus on IT companies to increase their exports, continue our momentum with teaching the young children to become entrepreneurs and work from home if there are no opportunities outside, we can be reaching the $6 billion plus digit by 2020 and $10 billion plus digit by 2025. And that's what the economy is. That is what I mean, that economy is in our own hands. The previous government provided a complete package for startups. The previous government provided a complete package for the IT sector. The exemption, the tax exemption was extended to by 2025. There will be no tax exemption to the IT companies. Now the opportunity lies in the hands of the private sector.
While we talk about the private sector, if I can bring in Khurram here. Khurram, what made you come into Pakistan through 47 Ventures? Tell us a little bit about what you are doing and also share your thoughts on the economy.
Sure. Thank you very much. And before I start, congratulations again for putting together a wonderful conference. Can you hear me? Hello? Okay, so I'm running what you introduced me through 47 Ventures. That's a venture capital fund that was founded a year and a half ago for investing in Pakistan. At the time, it was the only international venture capital fund that had an exclusive focus on investing in Pakistan. And that's something we decided to do after spending the past 5 years or so embedded into the technology ecosystem of Pakistan. They got a lot of support from the government, and I must give credit to Anusha. She did a wonderful job bringing government into and made an integral part of the ecosystem that promoted setting up incubation centers and digi-skill programs and a lot of other wonderful initiatives that got the youth excited about entrepreneurship, started considering entrepreneurship as an alternative career choice as opposed to graduating and looking for a job in a company. So over the past 5 years, what we saw was that there's a lot of interest in entrepreneurship. There's a lot of good talent in the country. Platforms like NIC started grooming and mentoring, very passionate founders, founding tech companies. But then they get to a stage where they graduate out of these incubation centers or accelerators, run out of the money that they put in themselves or raise from their families. And the next step in their growth invariably needed capital across the board in all the companies that at least we were interacting with. And there was a need for early stage risk capital. Now there's a lot of capital that's available in the country, but it's more what I call more traditional capital. It looks for safer bets, likes to invest in real estate, likes to invest in businesses that return, in a couple of years, maximum 3 years. And, the riskiest thing that they would do is invest in public equities. And the capital that was getting invested in these young startups was very expensive. They would end up taking 60, 70, 80% of the equity when they're investing in these companies. So we decided to go out, raise some money from international investors and start investing in these companies. And the reason we do that is because we see a huge upside over the next 5 to 10 years. The fund has a 10-year investment horizon. We look at what's happening in India and what has happened in India over the past 5 to 10 years, and we think that that's bound to be replicated and repeated in Pakistan.
Khurram, while we talk about that, a lot of feedback we get from international delegates is about policy consistency. And my next point would be for Salim Ranja Saab, who's representing BOI. What sort of policy consistency or what sort of message are you going to give to this audience? What is BOI doing? And also, what sort of projects is BOI attracting investors in? So if you can share a brief overview of that, please.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammad. Although I'm representing BOI over here, but I have another introduction, and that is I am one of those four persons who helped start Akhuvat. And if Akhuvat can grow from 10,000 rupees in 2001 to today to 72 billion rupees, close to like $600 million, why can't Pakistan do it? Because this is a theme we need to learn from the philosophy from Akhuvat and try to do same thing in Pakistan's economy. Board of Investment is mandate is to help anyone who want to come in to do business in Pakistan. It should be their first like one window. And if you look at last 1 year, despite the political instability, despite the slowing down economy, there are 4 or 5 things which we can share. For the first time in last 10 years, we had the highest FDI in Pakistan. And when we talk of foreign direct investment, let me tell you, sometimes we are bogged down that a country size of Pakistan have a very less $3.4, $3.5 billion every year's FDI. But we then forget comparing it with our internal investments. Last year, Pakistan's internal investment were 96%, and only 4% was $3.4 billion. The second thing is, in last 10 years, for the first time, Pakistan was going down on ease of doing business, and from 70 into the mid 2000, we declined to 147. So last government put a committee on it, handed over to Board of Investment, and I'm glad to share it with you that the last figures released by World Bank on the 31st October, Pakistan from 147 moved up to 136. And out of our 8 reforms, only 3 were accepted. Now we are working on 5 plus 2. So I am very positive that inshallah our target is to move from 136 to 99, and I'm very sure that we will inshallah achieve this target. If we can take Pakistan from 136 to less than 2 digit, I think that is, and then we can plan moving up. Second is, Pakistan will have 2 special economic zones on CPEC within year 2019. One will be coming up very soon in, I think in next 2 months in Rashagi, and one in Faisalabad. The funds are allocated, and I don't see any reason why it's not there. But that's just tip of the iceberg. As Madam Anusha, the architect of Pakistan digital success in last 5 years, the next success is coming from entrepreneurship and moving into the 4th industrial revolution. If anyone happens to go visit any of the NICs, I will just mention Khurram Zafar's Lahore NIC, where one project, Pakistan Vitai, attracted $22 million of investments. If we can come up with another 50 to 100 such projects, we are in a different world.
That's wonderful, Salim Saab. That brings us to my next point to Matt Lester. Matt, I've been working closely under Pakistan-UK Business Council. Matt, we all see the numbers. We see Pakistan's progress improving. We all see the potential here. We all see the ease of doing business ratings improving. Why don't we see the British businesses coming into Pakistan the way they should? So I would like you to share some thoughts on that and also perhaps comment on some of the hindrances that you see should be addressed in the process.
Okay, well, thank you, Imran. Well, firstly, let me just echo the comments of other panel members in terms of putting on such a good event with so many entrepreneurs and others. Yeah, the population of Pakistan is set to double to 400 million by 2050, and with 2/3 of the population under the age of 25, job creation is going to need to come from the private sector as well as other sources. You mentioned about British companies wanting to get more British companies doing business in and with Pakistan. I would completely agree with that. Our ambition is to see trade increase. The UK is actually Pakistan's third largest source of foreign investment, and there are 120 firms already doing business here, but we would like to see that figure increase. It's also worth noting that the UK is Pakistan's largest export market in Europe and second largest globally. Pakistan exports more to the UK than it does to China, for example. So the UK is a very firm trading partner for Pakistan. But as you alluded to, there are steps that could be taken to have more British and Pakistani firms doing business together, and key amongst these is the ease of doing business. And I'd absolutely welcome the great work of the Board of Investment in terms of improving Pakistan's rank from 147 to 136. The UK government has been working with the Board of Investment on supporting those improvements, and will look to continue to do so. And we'd like to see that prioritisation of the business environment continue, because that is what companies look to when considering markets to do business. And at the British side, we will continue to work with companies to try to get them to establish those relationships with Pakistan companies. And I'll leave it there for now, but just to say, the ambition of the UK government is to see a strong, stable and secure Pakistan, and we look forward to continuing to work with the government to support that where we can.
Thank you, Matt. Can I bring in Madam Anusha here? What are your views? How can Pakistan enhance its exports? I know you did a lot of work on that, but what would be your suggestions to the policymakers now and also the youngsters? What can they do to enhance Pakistan's exports in the IT sector?
Thank you very much. As I said, that the IT sector being one sector which remains the focus of any government at any point in time, because it simply can't be ignored. When we did the spectrum auction in 2014 and introduced 3G and 4G at the same time, the basic reason was that without making the e-highways, it was not possible to determine that what traffic was going to come in. So once we worked on the supply chain, we introduced 3G and 4G at the same time. We took the broadband penetration from less than 3% to over 30% in just 3 years. The $1 billion reported figures of the State Bank, actually, if you multiply by 3, we are somewhere between $4 billion plus in the software exports. And this needs to be solidified so that we can actually show the dividends. The problem that I see is that the State Bank is very reluctant in introducing certain policies. This was the problem I was facing in my own government, and I think this problem still continues. The State Bank is not very keen on providing certain incentives to the IT sector, software developers, and so on. For example, even today, even when we gave the policy in 2017 and we gave certain concessions to the startups to open their foreign currency accounts, for example, even today, it is difficult to open a foreign currency account. When you can't open a foreign currency account, you are not able to bring the money that you are earning. If you don't have PayPal, if you don't have any other payment mechanisms, the money is kept abroad. So if $3 are kept abroad and only $1 is coming back, you are actually then you can see that the real export is not reflected. State Bank needs to be a little bit more flexible in terms of allowing the remittance to come back into the country from the IT sector platform. We made a lot of concessions and made, for the sake of ease of business, made a very, very simple entry point for call centers. We made a very simple entry point for all the services that are used by the technology companies so that they can start working in Pakistan. Even today, if an IT specialist anywhere else in the world is charging $30, you will still find an IT expert giving the same type of value for half the price. So what Pakistan offers is young talent, children who are now being trained and given opportunities by government investing into them. We are today standing at adding 1 million users of 3G, 4G every month, which essentially means that the IT sector app development business increasing. We are probably one of the best in developing apps in terms of games and other financial related applications. We are literally fourth or third in freelancing in the world. So when we are looking at numbers, what I expect is the DigiSkills program is going to improve Pakistan's ranking to #1. And why not? But as soon as this ranking improved, the State Bank has to come forward and give flexible policies for freelancers. We need to actually have freelancers as a solid chunk of youth who are working from homes, learning from the international global best practice, but we cannot continue to curtail them. That's #1. The second thing is that whatever policies we gave in the previous term, they should be continued, if not improved. If there is going to be a total stagnancy in the new government, and which I see already is, then the youth is going to be disappointed, the business is going to get influenced, and the momentum is going to slow down. For now, I just want to add one thing, that in the telecom sector, there's a $15 billion investment. The license renewals is due in May of 2019, but I see that no work is taking place in PTA to move forward in getting the license renewal process in order. If we are going to slow down, the businesses are not going to get the confidence. If they don't get the confidence, they start withdrawing the investment. And withdrawing foreign investment from Pakistan, just because the policy is not properly implemented, is going to be a deterrence for entry to new foreign investors. So the continuity has to be given from the policy level. If no new improvements are made, at least the previous policies should be continued till such time that new policies are introduced. And the children and the investors should be given the confidence that we are not a corrupt country, we are not an inefficient country, we are a country which is full of youth who are talented to take the country forward. Even if no government enters at this point in time, this private sector and this new generation is totally equipped to change the face of this country, provided we give them the confidence. Thank you.
There are lots of messages to take from what Madam Anusha shared. I'm told we have lots of policy makers among the audience, including the State Bank of Pakistan. So I'm sure that they would also be taking notes of her comments. Khurram, can I come on to you? You've done it with 47 ventures. What would your message be to the audience here, especially international investors who want to do something in Pakistan? How should they go about it? What would be your message to them?
Well, we would love to have more competition in Pakistan. So I do encourage everyone to invest in Pakistan, and there are 3 solid reasons for that, particularly in the IT sector. One, IT sector, despite the fact that we are 27 million people and everything, the fact of the matter is, the reality is that when you go out looking for skilled professionals with good work ethic, there is a dearth of that. IT sector offers a very high leverage on HR. You can have a 10-person company build $1 billion company. Right? You can't do that in any other sector. And there are plenty of examples in the West for that. So that is one of the biggest strengths of the IT sector, that you can have a small number of good, well-trained people who can put together a company that does, potentially billions in exports. The second reason is IT has a very democratic distribution model, particularly in the mobile space. If you're a Pakistani company that is building a mobile product or a game or an app, you will be distributing it through exactly the same distribution channels that a company sitting on Silicon Valley distributes it through, the Play Store and the App Store. There's no other way to distribute products, unless you go to, China. So, GameStorm Studios, for example, in Pakistan is using the exact same channels, using the exact same marketing strategies to distribute their games to a worldwide audience that, a company in Silicon Valley is doing. So that's number two. It's a very democratic, level playing field across the globe. There's one particular geography does not have, significant advantage over others, except for some soft ecosystem features. And number three, in IT, particularly as an investor, when we're looking to invest in companies, we are also looking for exits. We invest money, capital into companies, but also like to get money out, because our investors want us to, get money out of these companies. And IT businesses tend to be very portable, and they're very ripe for acquisitions, trade sales by the likes of Facebook and Google and all these large companies. They can acquire the IT assets of a company if it's looking for an exit, and they can merge it into their own platforms. You can't do that with a cement plant. You can't do that with a sugar mill, for example. So that's one of the reasons we love the ecosystem. I think there's great work going on in terms of training the youth on IT skills. I think equity is fairly cheap compared to the region, certainly cheap compared to the West, and it's a no-brainer. For somebody who knows the ecosystem and is entrenched into it, it's a no-brainer for anybody to invest, particularly in the tech sector in Pakistan. Let me just give you one example, just to sort of drive home, the point that I made. A couple of years ago, I looked at public sector companies in 8 or 10 different sectors, from cement to oil marketing to sugar, textile, everything. And we tried to get data for 10 of the largest publicly traded companies in Pakistan. The largest that year, I believe, was a cement sector, and 10 of the largest cement sector companies combined had a profit after tax of around $450 million.
If I may add on to that one, basically Pakistan has a lot of potential. We all talk about the potential, especially our international delegates would not know that it takes local Pakistanis 3 to 6 months to get a local car. Basically, even if you want to buy a car, it takes you 3 to 6 months to get one. So that is the sort of opportunity here. As we are short of time, can I ask Matt to share his last words on what are British government's priorities, so that people who are here in this audience can hear about that and see how they can fit into those priorities, or what sectors is British government encouraging trade and investments in?
Thank you. I suppose my final comments would be to agree that there is huge potential in Pakistan. I mean, obviously already Asia's second largest economy, but we'd like to see that potential realised. There are challenges ahead with a growing population and the stresses that puts on the environment and resources and so on and so forth. But on the flip side, with a growing population and an affinity for increasing the stature of Pakistan on the world stage, there are opportunities for British companies to capitalise upon. At the moment, bilateral trade is 3 billion, I believe, and there is opportunity for that to be significantly higher. I think with the right business environment reforms put in place, that will make that job a lot easier. And then also, I suppose, finally, just a plug for some of the work that the British government is doing. We have a fantastic scheme called Carandas, which looks to provide loans and grants to SMEs. I believe they've provided grants to 400,000 micro companies as well. So we want to continue to support Pakistan to become more prosperous and more stable and secure, which in turn obviously benefits British companies. And given the affinity between Britain and Pakistan, and obviously the huge Pakistani diaspora in the UK, we'd like to see that relationship grow ever stronger, particularly as Britain leaves the European Union. So that would be my final comment, that we want to see trade increase and for that relationship to become ever stronger.
Thank you, Matt. If I can get last words from Salim Saab for the audience, if international businesses are interested in investing in Pakistan, what are your suggestions? How do they go about it?
Normally, we always look at what is we don't have. But sometimes we do, this is the time that we should see what we have. We have top 10 crops in the world. Pakistan is in top 10 categories. In minerals, only one mine, that is Thar, puts us at the 5th largest potential of coal in the world. And the energy size of that coal is bigger than the energy of Saudi Arabia and Iran put together. Same is in salt, same is in gold, copper, blah, blah, blah. I will not go into the details, but if you look at the companies which are already in Pakistan, Suzuki Pakistan is the 3rd largest Suzuki in the world after Japan and India. Coke Pakistan is the 2nd largest Coke in the world after US. Hire Pakistan is the world 2nd biggest hire after China. And same is about many other companies. I would say sometimes we have to believe in Pakistan. We have to have the same belief which Tayyip Erdogan or Turkey are putting money in Pakistan have. The belief which Nestle Pakistan has in Pakistan. Frizzland Campina comes to Pakistan with $500 million and buys 50% of Angro Foods. Same is with the Turks buying Dolans. If Saudi's investment, which is coming in next year or so, that is $6 to $10 billion, including one oil refinery by Aramco. Same is coming from ADNOC and UAE. Masdar is coming, ADNOC is coming, Aramco is coming, Aqua is coming. And if you look at you were very right when you're putting up the auto sector, despite having long delays with Toyota, with Suzuki, with Honda, 5 more companies are coming up in next year. Honda, Kia, Hyundai, Photon, now Volkswagen and Renault. And if these companies are putting their money in Pakistan, I think this is a time where Pakistani expats can come and invest in their country.
That's a wonderful message. Believe in Pakistan. Ladies and gentlemen, can I have a big round of applause for the panelists? They would be available later on today, so if you have any questions, you can ask them. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us.
Thank you.